Chapter 5 The City of Rask. As they approached the main gates of Rask, a guard on the top of the walkway, just on the other side, addressed them.
You there? Yes, you two. What business does a time weaver and a child have here in Rask?
Jack cringed.
That's never going to end, will it? Afraid not, Jack,
El whispered. Then he raised a voice for the guard up top.
I'm looking for my fellow time weaver, someone named Zed. We don't take bums. If you're unwilling to work for your day's food and shelter, you'll be escorted out. Do you understand? We agree,
El shouted. The massive iron gates before them started to open. The drawbridge was already down, allowing them to cross. Jack looked at the dry, empty ditch that surrounded the entire city.
What's that?
He asked El as they crossed the bridge.
It's a moat. Well, not in this moment, but at night they fill it with fire. No darkling would dare come close to this castle.
Jack looked back at the farms. What about the farmlands? Are they worried darklings will attack those?
They aren't worried. Darklings never cared about crops. Those things only eat flesh, kind of like how the beasts do,
El said as they passed through the gate, which closed behind them. A red-skinned mystic was waiting for them. He wore armor and stood more than half a person taller than El and Jack. The two had to look straight up just to make eye contact. Even through the armor, his muscular frame bulged out.
Hello again, Captain Brutus,
El said in as polite a tone as he could muster. Brutus bent down to examine El all the more.
Oh, it's you, El. I hadn't realized you had changed. Why is a child with you?
He looked at Jack, inspecting him in detail. Sir, Captain?
Yes, spit it out.
I'm not a child. Brutus straightened his back, standing tall and smirking. One could not tell if he wanted to laugh or become angry. Jack sighed. Look. Jack tried to think of the blacksmith, but found Brutus too intimidating to concentrate. Fear kept him instead. But fear was key to one of the elementalist abilities, so Jack turned red all the same. See? His hand swept around his skin in a reveal fashion. Brutus was taken aback.
I see. That is the strangest thing I've ever seen in my entire life, and I've seen some strange things.
He shook his head and refocused his words.
Well, whatever you are, I'll just assume you're like him.
He pointed at El.
We don't take freeloaders here. So what kind of work will you be doing?
El answered for Jack.
He'll be a guard, and I'll be a farmer.
Brutus shook his head.
You blue people always take farming. You're lazy, if you ask me. You work for maybe 15 minutes and then do nothing all day.
Jack wanted as little to do with this Brutus as possible.
Off you go,
Brutus said to El. Jack started to follow El, but Brutus caught him by the collar, actually pinching his skin with one of his massive hands.
Not you, he said. You're a guard. That means you're with me.
Jack groaned at his predicament. El looked back as he started to walk away.
It'll be fine, Jack. Being a guard is boring but simple. I'll catch up with you later.
Brutus brought Jack to his face, not lifting him in the air, but giving off the feel that he could, if he wanted, with just one hand. The big captain relaxed his grip, but didn't let go.
A tour is the first thing we're going to do, you and I.
You? Jack gulped, wishing anyone else would guide him around the city.
I've got 10 minutes to spare until my shift is over, so that should be enough. Follow me.
He let go of Jack, fully expecting the still red-skinned one to go with him without argument. El was no longer in sight. Brutus started to walk up some adjacent stairs that proceeded to the top of the gate, and even a little higher to the top of one of the two towers that stood on both sides of the entrance of Rask. Rask is the greatest city in the world, Jace. Jack, sir.
Huh? What's that?
My name is Jack, not Chase. Brutus waved dismissively.
If you're anything like your friend Elle, you won't be staying long enough for me to care what your name is.
I'm actually here to find Zed, one of my parents. As they reached the top of the stairs, Brutus answered,
You'll have plenty of time for that later. I need to go over some things with you first. Firstly, take in the wondrous sight of my city.
He swept his hand across the view of the city. Jack had to admit it was a great sight that much could not be denied. Towers, tall buildings, countless alleyways, multi-story houses, a market, a plethora of blacksmiths, woodworkers, traders, and more were sprouted all about the great city of Rask. Most of it, Jack could not tell what its function was. He started to breathe heavily at the overwhelming view.
First and foremost,
Brutus began.
Armor, weapon, food, and shelter. Those are the things you will be working for. You put in an 8-hour shift, and we will lend you the weapon and armor during that time.
Jack couldn't help but interject. Yes, but why would I need a weapon when I can throw a fireball?
You can if you want, Brutus shrugged. When some ruffian starts trouble, though, you'll find an actual weapon far more useful.
Brutus grinned.
So be it. You know what, kid? You got your first shift without a weapon. In exchange, it'll earn you more food in its stead.
Jack raised a finger, wanting to argue, but could think of no rebuttal. So, with gray shoulders, he shrugged.
That didn't last long. Brutus referred to his skin tone. I do not envy your affliction. It's not uncommon for children to work here, though it is rare that one will be a guard.
Brutus examined Jack closely, even going so far as to grab one of his arms for close inspection.
You have average strength, which is good enough to get a watch done. However, should some group of ruffians make trouble, you won't do so well in a fight.
He let go of Jack's arm.
Your watch begins soon. You'll be relieving one of the guys who stands on the wall and looks out for darklings. Can you do that? Just stand there and stare out at the mountains and forests in the distance there?
Just stand there and watch? For how long?
8 hours. It's not called a watch for nothing. You'll have company, and I don't care if you talk while doing your watch, but keep your eyes out there. Can you do that?
Brutus held an aggressive tone, psychologically pushing Jack down. Jack gulped at the natural intimidation that Brutus clearly used on purpose with any and every interaction with all of his subordinates. Yes, sir.
I imagine you aren't very good at conjuring flames. Well, that's fine. The senior watch person is responsible for that anyways. Let's go. Your shift starts now.
Jack desperately did not want to do this, but saw no alternative. Brutus led him to a portion of the wall, approaching 2 armor-clad elementalists, who ceased talking as the captain came near.
This is Jake. He'll be relieving your junior watch here at this post,
Brutus said. Brutus and the previous junior watch walked away. Jack looked at the senior watch. The person did not look at Jack.
Eyes forward, young one,
he said with a serious tone. Jack straightened his body and turned to face out of the city. How long have you been here?
I arrived shortly before you did. As a senior watch, I'll stay longer than you two. We're going to be here for a while. Are you new to Rask?
Yes.
Kids don't normally travel. Why are you here?
I'm not a kid. The senior watch almost swerved their helmeted head to Jack, but remained composed and kept looking forward.
You're gray,
was all they said. Jack wanted to explain it, but realized that he will encounter this constantly. It wasn't worth re-explaining constantly. He merely sighed. Hours passed, and the only thing they talked about was logistics of how their watch worked. The senior watch merely informed him of trite details that didn't interest Jack in the least. Details such as how often darklings might try to attack, where to make the flames appear in the moat, not how to make the flames appear in the moat, which is what Jack was hoping for, how to sound the alarm when needed, and other details about how the watch would work. Jack had no intention of doing this watch again. Sometime during the night, Elle approached him and told him where the room was. The senior watch was angry that someone would dare to disturb them, and shooed Elle away just as fast as he arrived. After the long, boring, and tiresome shift, Jack shuffled his feet to the room Elle spoke of. He was so hungry that he ate raw krana while he walked, which earned him many curious looks from bystanders. He knocked on the door. There was no answer. Jack was too tired for pleasantries, and after sighing, he opened the door himself, shuffled his feet in, and flopped down on the first thing that could be used as a bed. He did not care if it was actually a bed or not. Hours passed. "Should we wake him?" a voice whispered.
"That's up to you. He stood a watch last night."
"What? There's too much to get done, and he finally arrived, and that's the first thing they did?"
"Hey, I'm sorry, but you know how pushy Brutus is."
The other person talked, sighed. "How long has he slept?"
"If he went to sleep right after his watch, I'd say about 7 hours."
"Good enough." Footsteps were heard approaching, followed by a sharp kick to the thing under Jack. "Hey, wake up!" Jack's eyes shot open. He jerked his head to the two. They were both blurry due to his eyes adjusting to the sudden awakening. What? They were both blue-skinned. One stood by the door while the other was bending down, rather close to him. His eyes focused, and it was Elle and Zed. Zed being the closer one, Jack jumped up and hugged his remaining parent tightly. "Whoa there! It's only been a few days now. I guess I missed you too." Zed accepted the embrace and returned it. Jack's eyes streamed tears. "No, you don't understand. Cy, Mill, everyone, they..." Jack couldn't find the words, and the crying, along with the sudden talking movement, and having just woke up, all twisted his breathing and caused him to hyperventilate. If Zed..." Zed pulled Jack away. Okay, calm, slow down. Take a moment to catch your breath, gather your thoughts, and then tell me what happened. Jack, I know it's work here, but this place has a lot it can offer you. The greatest elementals on the planet live here. They'll be really excited to teach you the prismatic that can actually perform all types of magic, mystic magic. Now tell me, what's so important that it has you messed up like this?" Jack shook his head. He composed himself as best he could, tried to straighten up, but couldn't look Zed in the eyes. His head face down. "Everyone's dead!" he blurted out. He wanted to say it with a soft tenderness, but instead threw the words out like a blow. Zed contorted his face. "What now?" he asked in disbelief. You just woke up. You must have had a nightmare." Jack shook his head. "No, after you left, Cy ascended. He turned yellow." Jack raised his head up, looking directly into Zed's eyes, so his words would not be mistaken. "He became a demon. He started to shout that he couldn't control his magic, and yellow came from him and went to Mill. Cy made Mill burn down everyone and everything." Zed took a step back in disbelief. "What? How can this happen?" He covered his face with his 4 hands. Zed shook his head and lowered his hands. This is bad." He started to pace left and right in front of Jack. "A prismatic and a demon appearing in the same place at the same time? We have to act now." Zed grabbed Jack's right arm and made to run off with him. Then he let go. He paced some more. "Mill and Norg. Jack, how did you survive? What happened to Norg?" Jack looked away. "Norg somehow understood what was happening, and he shielded me. Everything went black right after that. I woke up in the morning after, alone." Zed recomposed himself, took in a deep breath, and then placed all 4 hands on his child's top shoulders. I need time to process all of this. I will take you to the city's elders. Our village elder had me go to them to tell them that you exist. They'll know what to do.
What have you been doing this whole time?
El asked. I only just now got back to Rask. I went to the other capitals and told every nation's elders. The three left and made their way to the structure at the center of the city. They took the main street, which led all the way there in a straight line. In the air was a lane full of flying red-skinned mystics. Jack looked at them in wonder. He noticed them while on the watch last night, but couldn't take them in full detail due to being forced to look away. Now he stared at them. Zed tugged at him, telling him to keep moving. We can walk and talk. I didn't realize that elementalists could fly. Also, if they can fly, why are they in a straight line limiting themselves to that small section over the city? It's the law here. Air travel is restricted to a few parts of the city. Otherwise, they would crash into one another, Zed said. How are they flying? Wait, does that mean I can fly too?
It's the hardest thing to master, Jack, El said.
I only know and have controlled fire, earth, and cold.
Anger, sadness, and fear, El said.
That would mean joy is air? Jack frowned. I haven't done anything with air since I ascended. Zed turned back to Jack, stopping the two. I'm sorry you've been through so much. I wouldn't have sped off if I had even a clue that happened. Jack shook his head. His skin turned red. He started to cry, but held back his tears. I'm glad you left. You would have died. Zed cringed and maybe smiled as he turned around and continued walking. Jack wanted to apologize, but couldn't figure out how to word it, so he said nothing. He turned his attention to the surroundings, wanting to point out some of the interesting things, but felt awkward.
Hey, check that out,
El said as he knew Jack wanted to talk about anything else to break the silence. El was pointing at a small building with glass for the front door wall, allowing the entire inside to be visible. Inside was about a dozen mystics of varying colors, including gray, all sculpting statues of varying shapes and sizes. This was a class, and the teacher at one end was faced all the others, was working on the largest statue. He was red-skinned and was using the earth-controlling powers to mold it as he saw fit, but not doing it instantly. The instructor was working slowly. Wow! Oh, wow! He must have been at that for weeks, Jack commented. Zed looked. Elementalists love art. They're emotionally driven people. Obviously, art is one of the biggest things they do with their time. Too bad they're so consumed with working most of the time. About that, that's really weird that everyone works so much. I mean, I understand things need to get done. It just feels like people could, I don't know, do that less, Jack said. Elle and Zed laughed. Zed turned back, actually smiling now. You're lecturing the master of not wanting to work, my child. Jack could not see the sadness hidden in Zed's eyes. Inside of his ocular orbs, there was just behind his pupil a ball of sorrow that Zed could not hide. Sorrow for his loss of his family. Only Jack remained. Never again would he play with Norg or enjoy Mill's cooking. Jack saw that and felt the same sorrow. Maybe I do want to work, but not stand watch. Just do something that isn't standing there doing nothing. I need to do something just to not think about this. They passed by the strangest place Jack never would have thought would be actual work. He pointed at the curiosity with two right hands. His left hand tapped the back of the blue shoulders of his companions. The establishment was a pet grooming center. Jack had not realized people would even have pets. The sign above with the interlocking circles could not be mistaken. Groomers. It read in their language. Pets? Zed nodded as if he were knowing.
That's right.
Some people like having pets. It's weird, I know. What are pets, though? Jack asked. Oh, Zed now understood the question. You see, some like to have a companion that is something they can own and love, I suppose. But what's wrong with other people as companions? Zed chuckled. They can have those too. There are just something different, I suppose. This particular place helps people clean and take care of them. But what exactly are pets? Jack asked again. If we ever have time, I'll show you. But basically, you know those tiny little four-limbed things that scurry about? Four limbs are gross, Jack commented. Yeah, they're hairy, little, smelly, and all around disgusting, I agree. Some people like them, Zed explained. Jack shook his head in wonderment and confusion. He gave the place one final look. He saw inside as they passed. Someone was brushing something across the scalp of one of those tiny four-limbed things. It had only two arms and was covered in fur or hair. They were untangling or just generally grooming the odd creature. He dismissed the very notion of hairy things for the time being. He thought maybe he'll check that out some other day. He refused to look at any of the other oddities around the city, looking straight ahead to their destination. The building had a dome designed indicating the inside was an auditorium, or large circular hall. As they approached the gates, there were two guards talking to one another. Their words were indecipherable. They ceased talking just before they were within earshot. Zed stopped just before them. We need to speak to the council. Again? You spoke to them yesterday, one of the guards said. Zed sighed. I'm a member of this nation. I live here. The guards examined Zed head to toe with great exaggeration. You don't look like you're from here, the other one said. Zed narrowed his eyes, then relaxed. He turned back to Jack. Summon the beast. Jack raised an eyebrow. He wanted to ask why, but refused to disobey his last remaining parent. He focused attention to the memory of the thing. With eyes closed, his skin faded from gray to green, and the beast appeared directly in front of the two guards. While they knew a summons when they saw one, they had not expected a gray-skinned person to suddenly shift into a summoner. They raised their weapons, ready to defend themselves. Can we go through now? Zed asked incredulously. End of chapter 5.